Ladies and gentlemen, today we delve into a topic that resonates deeply within each of us, the experience of losing people from our lives, friends, family, or acquaintances, and the divine purpose behind these separations. In our fast-paced world, relationships can be as complex as they are essential. Throughout our lives, we encounter an array of individuals who shape our perspectives, influence our decisions, and impact our emotional well-being. Yet, there comes a time in many of our lives when we find ourselves grappling with the painful reality of separation, whether through drifting apart, conflict, or a change in life circumstances. Some relationships will inevitably come to an end. However, as we explore the idea that God may intentionally remove people from our lives, it's essential to realize the divine purpose behind such actions. When we discuss divine purpose and growth, we must recognize that this removal often serves to align us with a path that is closer to God's intentions for us. When considering divine purpose, it is vital to understand that God has a unique plan for each of our lives. This plan is tightly woven with purpose, potential, and destiny. The relationships we forge can play a crucial role in determining whether we move closer to or further away from that divine destination. Sometimes, however, we find ourselves in toxic, unhealthy, or stagnant relationships that can obstruct our growth. Whether those relationships involve negative influences, lack of support, or continual strife, they can become barriers to fulfilling the purpose God has laid out for us. In such instances, God may step in to remove these individuals for our good. It's important to realize that God's perspective on our lives is far broader and more comprehensive than our human perspective. As finite beings, we often see only fragments of the picture, leading us to hold on to relationships that may in fact hinder our growth. Our natural tendency is to cling to familiarity. We may fear the unknown or worry about being alone. However, God in His infinite wisdom is drawing back the curtain to reveal a larger and much more beautiful tapestry of our lives, one that's often obscured by our attachment to certain individuals. His foresight allows Him to see how letting go of certain relationships can lead us toward opportunities for growth, healing, and fulfillment. Consider, for example, a tree that cannot be pruned. If the gardener decides to leave all branches intact without considering the health and prosperity of the entire tree, the branches become overgrown. They can choke each other out, and the tree can become weak, unable to thrive. Only through the act of strategic pruning can the gardener ensure that the tree flourishes, becomes stronger, and bears fruit. Similarly, God prunes our lives to enhance our spiritual and emotional health. He recognizes that certain individuals can stifle our potential, derail our focus, or draw us away from our intended path. Moreover, this removal process is not just about eliminating negative influences, it's also about making room for new connections. In the intricate tapestry of relationships, each thread holds its significance. And sometimes old threads must be removed to allow new, stronger threads to weave their way into our lives. When we let go of relationships that are no longer beneficial, we create space for healthier, more uplifting connections that encourage growth and align with our evolving selves. These new relationships can enhance our journey, providing us with support, love, and encouragement to realize our full potential. The act of letting go can often invoke feelings of sadness, anger, or confusion. It challenges our emotional resilience and tests our faith. However, it is essential to remember that God desires what is best for us. His focus is not merely on the present moment, but on our overall journey and the destiny He has for us. Allowing ourselves to accept the removal of individuals, especially those whom we may have shared significant time and experiences with, can feel daunting. Yet it is crucial to lean into our faith in these moments. Trusting that God is working behind the scenes for our good is foundational in our spiritual growth. When we embrace the understanding that God's removals are rooted in divine purpose, we can begin to see the broader picture. Instead of remaining stuck in grief or disappointment, we can shift our focus toward the growth opportunities that await us. This change in perspective enables us to appreciate the space created by the absence of certain individuals and encourages the blossoming of new, positive relationships. In conclusion, recognizing that God sometimes removes people from our lives to align us with His purpose is an essential lesson in our spiritual journey. Embracing this concept allows us to view relationships not just through the lens of emotional attachment, but rather in the context of divine intention. By trusting God's plan, we open ourselves to the potential for growth, healing, and transformation. With faith, we can navigate the complexities of human relationships, confident that every ending is a precursor to a new beginning, fully trusting that God will lead us along the path He has designated for us. Trust and faith play pivotal roles in our relationship with God, especially when we face the painful process of losing people from our lives. In moments of separation, uncertainty, or confusion, it can be profoundly challenging to maintain trust in a plan that we cannot see. Yet, it is crucial to cultivate a deep-rooted belief that God's intentions are always for our good, even when our circumstances suggest otherwise. To begin with, the concept of trust in God can feel abstract, particularly during tumultuous times. However, it is grounded in our understanding of God's nature. The Scriptures assure us that God is loving, wise, and sovereign. According to these teachings, He desires to guide each of us toward our highest potential and spiritual fulfillment. When we encounter loss, whether through a friendship that has faded, a family bond that has been strained, or a partnership that has ended, it is natural for doubts and fears to surface. Our immediate response may be to cling tighter to what we have lost, fearing what lies ahead without that person in our lives. But trusting God invites us to rise above that fear, taking a leap of faith into the unknown with the assurance that God holds our future. In times of emotional upheaval, it is essential to turn to the Word of God for reassurance. The promises found within the Scripture remind us of God's unwavering commitment to us. Verses such as Jeremiah 29:11 proclaim that the plans He has for us are not plans for harm, but to give us hope in a future. Meditating on such promises can provide comfort and perspective, reminding us that our current pain might lead to growth and opportunities we cannot yet imagine. It is through this lens of faith that we begin to understand that loss may serve as a part of God's divine orchestration rather than an endpoint. Moreover, insisting on trust amidst loss requires us to actively practice surrender. Surrendering does not imply a passive acceptance of our situation. Rather, it is an active choice to release our desires and expectations into God's hands. Often we want to control the outcome, to dictate who remains in our lives, and to determine the trajectory of our relationships. But true faith invites us to relinquish that control, acknowledging that God knows what we need far better than we do. As we learn to surrender, we become open to the possibility that God can and will provide new connections that align with His plans for our lives. This process of letting go is rarely easy. It demands emotional resilience, and it often requires confronting our vulnerabilities and fears. As we navigate this journey, it is essential to surround ourselves with a community of faith that can offer support and encouragement. Engaging with others who share similar beliefs can foster hope, allowing us to lean on one another during our toughest moments. Through prayer, fellowship, and shared experiences, we can find strength in numbers, reminding us that God's presence is often felt through the love and support of our community. As we trust in God's plan, we may come to understand that every ending is a precursor to a new beginning. This perspective shift can ease the anxiety associated with loss. When relationships dissolve, we may find ourselves presented with opportunities we did not anticipate. New friendships, professional connections, and spiritual opportunities may emerge that align more closely with our purpose. Embracing change with an open heart encourages growth and enhances our ability to trust that God is indeed working for our benefit. Additionally, faith teaches us that God sees the bigger picture, a mosaic of events that we may not fully grasp. In moments of isolation or heartache, it is easy to feel abandoned or overlooked. However, nurturing faith in God's plan allows us to see beyond our present discomfort. When we acknowledge God's sovereignty, we can release the burden of needing to understand everything. Instead, we can focus on living each day with purpose, trusting God to guide our steps. Ultimately, leaning into our faith during times of loss cultivates resilience and spiritual maturity. By accepting that God removes certain people from our lives for a reason, we can foster a mindset of openness and curiosity. Rather than dwelling solely on what has been lost, we can anticipate what new connections and opportunities may unfold. In conclusion, trust and faith are essential components in navigating the complexity of losing people from our lives. By anchoring ourselves in God's character and promises, we can confront challenges with assurance. Surrendering our fears and control opens us to the possibility of new beginnings, while supportive communities offer strength during tough transitions. Faith teaches us to see beyond our immediate circumstances, encouraging us to remain hopeful and expectant about the journey ahead. As we embrace the reality that loss often leads to new opportunities, we genuinely move closer to the fulfilling life God intends for us. In concluding this exploration of relationships, loss, and divine purpose, it's essential to recognize the profound journey we undertake in navigating our connections with others. Throughout our lives, we build relationships that shape us, challenge us, and enrich our experiences. Yet there comes a time when we may face the painful reality of separation. Understanding that God sometimes intentionally removes people from our lives can be both comforting and transformative. It teaches us that these losses are not merely endings, but beginnings, opportunities for growth, healing, and the pursuit of our authentic selves aligned with divine purpose. As we lean into trust and faith, we find the strength to navigate these transitions with grace and resilience. By embracing the belief that God's plans are greater than our own, we cultivate a mindset that looks forward rather than dwelling in the past. This perspective allows us to welcome new connections and experiences that enrich our lives and align with our purpose. Life is a tapestry woven with intricate threads of relationships, each contributing to our unique story. While it may be difficult to let go, the act of surrendering to God's plan opens up possibilities we cannot yet envision. By fostering a deeper understanding of our faith and relying on the support of our community, we can navigate the complexities and challenges of relationships with hope and courage. Ultimately, every ending can lead us to new beginnings, deeper insights, and a more fulfilling life in alignment with God's higher purpose. In trusting this process, we not only grow closer to ourselves, but also draw nearer to God, who walks alongside us in every season of life. Thank you for this opportunity to share these reflections. May we all continue to cultivate relationships that uplift us and embrace the journey with an open heart.